Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today's challenge, I decided to use the EOD bot for the engineer class. I was kind of curious to know how this one was going to perform, because I remember back in Battlefield 3, while every once in a while you would see someone running around with this on the battlefield, for the most part, it was kind of useless. It was a very clunky gadget. It was hard to get kills with it. It was challenging even to repair or destroy vehicles with the repair torch, or even arm and disarm objectives. And so while every once in a while there would be a select scenario where it was a viable option or an effective way at doing a certain task, for the most part, because it was so clunky, it just was not a very effective or useful gadget on the battlefield. And so I was kind of curious to know if they made any improvements in Battlefield 4, and after a couple of hours of some good times and some laughs, while I would say that the movement has been slightly improved, and it's still a very humiliating way at taking out your targets, it's still not the most useful gadget in the game. And so the first way I kind of approached this challenge was I had to identify what game mode I thought I was going to be successful with. I tried out Domination, I tried out Conquest. I thought Team Deathmatch and Domination was going to be an interesting or fun way at approaching it, because I figured that since those maps are usually, close quarter combat, that I could maybe hide in a corner and wait for the enemy to run by and then just run at them with the EOD bot. But because the movement, while I would say it has been improved, it's still not easy to try to chase after your enemy, and if they're doing a lot of zigzagging around, good luck trying to secure the kill with the repair torch, because it doesn't kill them instantaneously. It does take a couple of seconds for you to kind of take them out, and so you need the enemy to be kind of standing still for you to secure the kill, or at least secure the kill reliably. And so with that knowledge in mind, and after a lot of trial and error and a lot of failures, I failed a lot when I first started doing this challenge, I discovered that Rush is easily the best game mode for this. One of the things about Rush is that if you're on the offensive team, or even on the defensive team, if you can kind of flank around, there's usually about 50 camping snipers on the enemy team. It's just something about that game mode that attracts camping snipers, and so if you are successful in kind of flanking around, it's kind of free pickings at that point. Surprisingly, my favorite map was Silk Road Rush on offense, and normally I loathe this map on Rush. Like, it's almost impossible for the offensive team to arm those objectives, but because the enemy just basically camps the entire time, and since the map is pretty flat, I didn't have many problems with moving around. I wasn't getting jostled around by all the little things on the ground because it's basically just a sand dune. And since there's a bunch of just camping snipers on the rim of the dune itself, as long as I was able to flank around, I was able to secure just an absurd amount of kills. I did attempt to help out my team and arm the objectives, but one of the things that I have noticed about the EOD bot is that while getting kills and flanking around is a little bit easy, when you actually try to get up onto an objective itself, sometimes you can be successful, but people are usually looking out for the objective. Like, that's the part of Rush that is kind of important. People are trying to defend these objectives. And so while every once in a while I was somewhat successful in getting in there and infiltrating the enemy base and arming one of the MCOMs, because they are usually in the center of the map and the EOD bot is so slow, like, this is not a NASCAR. It is not blazing fast. It is going to take you a while to get from point A to point B. Eventually, someone is going to spot me. They're going to either notice me outright. I'm either going to get randomly spotted by a soldier who is just spamming his spot button. Maybe the UAV from the dumb commander is going to notify everyone that I'm on the minimap. And eventually, someone is going to find my little EOD bot and take it out. And so, at least from my play session, I just didn't have a whole lot of luck arming objectives. Disarming objectives, on the other hand, was a little bit more viable, and one kind of tactic that I enjoyed, and I could see being at least a little bit more viable, is that if you are playing on the defensive team for Rush, instead of just kind of running around with it like I was, just place this next to one of the MCOMs and then run around like normal. Just play with your soldiers, shoot them like you normally would, but then if the MCOM does get armed, kind of jump back into the EOD bot, either kill the person that just armed it with your repair torch, and then disarm the MCOM itself. And that right there may be one of the best aspects of this little gadget if you are successful in doing it. Another thing I had to work around is the turn radius itself. There were a lot of moments when I would come across an enemy camper, he would just kind of be chilling there, and then I would start the kill process. I would extend my arm towards him, I would hold down the trigger, and then kind of hope and pray that he wouldn't move. most people move. One of the instincts that a lot of people have is that when they start getting hit, they try to strafe away from the damage. They try to make themselves a harder target to hit, and moving around, it kind of accomplishes that goal, or they go prone to try to get behind cover. Going prone was awesome for me because that made them even easier to kill, and then I got basically a free couple of points there. But if they started to strafe, that's where things became a little bit more challenging, and because the turn radius on this thing, especially if you're trying to move forward and back, is so large, if the enemy was bad, I could still, every once in a while, take them out, and there was some examples of it, but usually at that point, they would turn around, see that there's a stupid EOD bot. Some people would kind of look at you funny and be like, is that what was just killing me? And then kill you, and every once in a while, if they did take too long to realize what was happening, I was able to kind of skirt around and then torch them, but usually at that point, they would take me out, and so that was just kind of another thing that I had to work around, and just kind of hope and pray that there wasn't a whole lot of movement on the part of the enemy. That being said though, there were a couple of nice aspects of this gadget, and probably the nicest feature is that when the EOD bot gets destroyed, your soldier doesn't die. So as long as you're well hidden, as long as you're in a corner and there isn't going to be an enemy that's going to come up and knife you, if you get a couple of kills with this, 2 or 3 kills, I don't want to necessarily say that they were free by any means, because you had to do work, you had to flank around and catch your enemy by surprise, but eventually, once your EOD bot does die, and it will because it's definitely not immortal, you can continue on with your kill streak, and so that is kind of one nice feature of it. Another nice aspect is that it will auto-repair, and so if you kind of get hit by a bunch of bullets, and you kind of skirt behind cover for a couple of seconds, as long as there isn't any incoming damage, it will slowly start to regenerate. The downside of that though is that there is a mechanic where once you reach a certain health threshold, your EOD bot will catch on fire. I think it's around 25% health, and at that point it's pretty much a done deal. So as long as you're able to avoid that, and as long as you don't take a significant amount of damage and you're able to get behind cover, you will be able to slowly regenerate all of your health back to 100%, and so that is one nice feature of this little gadget. And so overall, while in a few select situations, the EOD bot can be fantastic, and that mainly comes in the form of disarming objectives, for everything else, it's kind of a pile of trash. It is fun, don't get me wrong. It can be an absolute blast, especially if you're able to go on a 2 or 3 kill streak. You're going to be giggling like a little schoolgirl. If you want to be effective or you want to be competitive, you probably should stray away from this gadget. But that is about it for today's Terrible Weapon Challenge. I hope you enjoyed. If you have a setup that you would like me to try next, let me know down below in the comment section, and also make sure to thumbs up those recommendations. But until tomorrow, have a good one, and take it easy.